Amidst the elegant ambiance of a fine restaurant, we gathered with our family to commemorate 23 years of marriage, unaware that this moment would soon take an unexpected turn. In the fleeting moment it took to transition to champagne glasses, 23 years of marriage vanished into thin air. The crystal chandeliers of Giovanni's restaurant shimmered elegantly overhead, casting a warm glow on our anniversary celebration, surrounded by the loving embrace of family. I lifted my glass in a toast to Vanessa Cole, the woman who had stood by my side as we nurtured our daughter and crafted our shared life. In that moment, the waiter leaned in, his voice a hushed murmur, delivering words that would unravel it all. "Excuse me, I couldn't help but notice that your wife discreetly added something to your drink while you were engaged in conversation with your brother-in-law." In that fleeting moment, I embraced a decision that would not only preserve my existence but also unveil the hidden reality. With a nonchalant grin, I exchanged our glasses before anyone caught on. What actions would you take if the one who promised eternal love attempted to taint your celebratory toast with poison? In this journey, I unearthed the treachery, unveiled the reality, and restored my self-respect after 20 years of deception. To 23 years, I declared, my gaze locked with Vanessa Coles across the table. To the woman who instilled in me the faith of eternity. Our family convened at Giovanni's, the very restaurant where I had made my proposal nearly 25 years prior. The pristine white tablecloths, sparkling crystal glasses, and the soft strains of piano music wove together an exquisite setting for our celebration. Nora radiated joy from her spot next to her mother, as my brother-in-law, Laura Benetton Scott, and his wife, Laura Bennett, rounded out our close-knit gathering. Earlier that day, I had observed something peculiar about Vanessa Cole, a restless energy that eluded my understanding. She had altered her attire thrice and found herself glancing at her phone with relentless frequency. I had ascribed it to the thrill of the anniversary, even feeling a sense of warmth at what I believed was her wish to create a flawless evening. "Dad, you both remain my ultimate relationship inspiration," Nora declared, lifting her glass of water in a toast. At 19, she regarded our marriage with the innocent idealism of youth, a quality that had always filled me with pride. Laura Benetton Scott was the last to arrive, offering Vanessa Cole a kiss on the cheek that hung in the air for a moment longer than expected. "Apologies for our tardiness," he remarked, his hand momentarily resting on my wife's shoulder. The traffic was utterly dreadful. I rose to welcome them, enveloping Laura Bennett in a heartfelt embrace. "Your presence is essential for us to begin. This celebration embodies the essence of family just as much as it does the union of marriage." The waiter glided over with a bottle of champagne, pouring the bubbly elixir for each of us as I readied myself to deliver my anniversary toast. As I pivoted to exchange pleasantries with an old friend seated at a nearby table, I noticed him observing Vanessa Cole, his face betraying a peculiar expression. Upon my return to the table, the champagne glasses awaited, brimming and poised for celebration. As I extended my hand toward mine, the waiter materialized at my side, seemingly rearranging the table setting. "Sir," he murmured, his voice barely rising above a whisper, "I need to tell you something. I noticed your wife discreetly adding something to your glass while you were busy greeting your friend, a mysterious powder of some sort. I apologize, but remaining silent was not an option for me." Time appeared to stand still. My hand hung suspended in the air, caught in the web of his words, as 23 years of trust unraveled in a heartbeat. As I cast my gaze toward Vanessa Cole, I found her enveloped in laughter, a carefree spirit responding to Laura Benetton Scott's words. Thoughts surged through my mind like a tempest. Could this be a dreadful error? Or was my wife of 23 years truly trying to bring me harm on the occasion of our anniversary celebration? In mere seconds, I arrived at my decision. With a serene confidence honed over years of financial analysis, I nonchalantly lifted both glasses, examining the champagne as it caught the light. "Beautiful," I remarked, then deftly placed Vanessa Cole's glass before me and mine in front of her, executing a seamless, almost imperceptible exchange. No one seemed to notice Nora was absorbed in sharing pictures with Laura Bennett on her phone. Laura Bennett and Scott was preoccupied with glancing at his watch, and Vanessa Cole offered me a smile that now felt empty. "Everyone," I declared, my voice unwavering even as turmoil raged within me. "Let us raise our glasses in celebration of family, in honor of loyalty, and in reverence of truth." The words now carried a bitter flavor. Here's to countless more years filled with health and joy. Our glasses met with a soft clink. I observed intently as Vanessa Cole leaned in, drawing a deep sip from what she believed to be my glass. I feigned taking a sip from my own. In just 10 minutes, the transformation became evident. Vanessa Cole's speech began to lose its brisk pace. Her eyelids became weighted, and she faltered over the most basic of words. The substance she had added to the drink was beginning to manifest its influence on her. "Vanessa Cole, how are you holding up?" Laura Bennett inquired, her gaze fixed on my wife's speech, which had grown increasingly slurred, and her eyes, now wandering and unfocused. "I'm fine," Vanessa Cole asserted, though the truth was evident in her demeanor. Feeling a touch weary, I embraced the role of the worried husband, a portrayal that seemed almost dreamlike. "Darling, perhaps it's time we bid the evening farewell. Your appearance suggests you may not be feeling your best. Yet the anniversary, our joyous celebration." She offered a feeble protest, her coordination slipping away before our eyes. Laura Bennett and Scott leaped in with an unexpected enthusiasm. "It is imperative that Vanessa Cole takes the time to rest. I can assist you in getting her to the car, Matthew Cole." I noticed the all-too-familiar way he uttered my wife's name, another piece falling into place. "Thank you, but I have her covered. It might be time for us to make our way back home." "What a pity," Nora remarked, her voice tinged with unmistakable disappointment. Earlier, Mom appeared to be doing well. As I assisted Vanessa Cole to her feet, I subtly locked eyes with the waiter and silently expressed my gratitude with a mouthed, "Thank you." He inclined his head with a solemn expression. Within the confines of our car, as Vanessa Cole leaned heavily against the window, the weight of reality descended upon me. At our anniversary dinner, amidst the presence of our family, my wife of 23 years made an attempt to drug me. The inquiry posed was, "Why? What did you add to my drink, Vanessa Cole?" I inquired softly, aware that she was too compromised to uphold her fabrications. She murmured. "Nothing at all. What would compel me to do that?" Her head drooped as the substance, whatever it may be, tightened its grip. As I navigated the road back home, a heavy silence enveloped me, my thoughts diligently sifting through the myriad of warning signs I had overlooked. Vanessa Cole's growing secrecy surrounding her phone, the mysterious yoga classes that left her with an unfamiliar cologne scent, the peculiar phone calls that abruptly ended upon my entrance into the room. Once we arrived home, I assisted her to her bed, and she promptly succumbed to a deep slumber. I lingered beside her, examining the features of a face I believed I understood more intimately than my own. Who was this woman with whom I had intertwined my existence, and what schemes had she been concocting for when I was rendered helpless? One truth stood clear in my mind. Answers eluded me, and confronting her directly was not the path I would take, at least not for now. Whatever game Vanessa Cole was engaged in, I found it imperative to grasp the rules before proceeding with my next move. While she lay in slumber, I arrived at my resolution. Tomorrow I shall embark on my own inquiry into the enigmatic figure I have Wednesday. As Vanessa Cole lay in a drug-induced slumber, I embarked on my inquiry within the shadowy confines of the bedroom. Upon her nightstand, her phone rested, connected to its charger, the very device she had been protecting with utmost vigilance in the past few months. I grasped the device, pausing for a fleeting moment before inputting her passcode. After 2 decades and 3 years, I had come to understand her rhythms, and the cipher remained unaltered. Our anniversary date, quite ironically, what I discovered obliterated any remaining uncertainty. A multitude of text exchanges flowed between Vanessa Cole and Laura Bennett and Scott. Far from the naive dialogues typical of in-laws, these are profound exchanges brimming with explicit undertones and subtle hints about what lies ahead. The writings trace back several months. "When will you share the news with him?" "Just last week," Laura Bennett and Scott had inquired. "Following the anniversary, everything has been set in place," Vanessa Cole had responded. In a serendipitous moment, I stumbled upon a concealed folder brimming with photographs. Laura Bennett, Scott, and Vanessa Cole found themselves in unfamiliar places, their surroundings a mystery to me, receipts from hotels, images of bank transfers directed to an account I was unaware of. My hands quivered as I navigated through a conversation from earlier that day. Laura Bennett and Scott, "This evening holds promise. Are you prepared?" Vanessa Cole, All is in readiness. Once it is completed, we will possess everything necessary. My breath hitched as the meaning dawned upon me. The anniversary dinner transcended mere celebration. It was intended as a carefully orchestrated arrangement. But for what purpose? Impairment. Something more dire. As I rummaged through Vanessa Cole's purse, a business card slipped out and fluttered to the ground. A detective working in secrecy. Not a connection I was aware she possessed. Was she delving into my affairs? Or getting ready for another endeavor? I meticulously restored everything to its original state, just as I had discovered it. The mind of my financial analyst is already at work, meticulously calculating my next move. I would refrain from approaching her with feelings and blame. I would tackle this with a systematic approach, collecting evidence, much like I have throughout my career, whenever the figures failed to align. With the arrival of dawn's first light, a realization washed over me. My marriage was a facade. At this moment, I found myself compelled to uncover the true extent of the betrayal. Vanessa Cole stirred from her slumber, her head pounding as if a relentless storm raged within. Yet deep down, we were aware it was something altogether different. I just can't wrap my head around it, she sighed, stirring her coffee, with eyes bloodshot and hands trembling. Just a single glass of champagne was all I had. Perhaps something didn't sit well with you, I proposed gently, engaging in the conversation. The physician consistently remarked on your heightened sensitivity to specific medications. She offered a faint nod, a glimmer of relief flickering in her eyes at my explanation. I deeply regret the way our anniversary turned out. There's no need for concern. Take a moment to pause and rejuvenate. I must attend to a pressing work matter, but I shall return this afternoon. The deception flowed effortlessly. Maybe it was due to the fact that I had been residing in one for an indeterminate span of time. An hour later, I found myself seated in the office of Robert Hayes, a private investigator. The wall was adorned with his credentials. 3 decades of expertise focused on marital inquiries and financial improprieties. "Pray tell, Mr. Grayson, what brings you to this place?" he inquired. His demeanor remained calm, yet his gaze was keen and scrutinizing. I presented the facts with a clarity that had always been my ally in the realm of finance. The dinner to commemorate the anniversary, the caution of the server, the tainted beverage, the messages exchanged through text. I find myself harboring doubts regarding Vanessa Cole and Laura Bennett and Scott. I must uncover all there is to know, I determined. The depth of their connection, the financial agreements they established, and, above all, the precise intentions they harbored once I was incapacitated. Frank nodded thoughtfully, jotting down notes. Regrettably, this marks yet another instance in my experience with attempted drugging. The involvement of a substance elevates this situation beyond the realm of a standard infidelity inquiry. It may be prudent to contemplate the inclusion of law enforcement in this matter. Not yet, I declared with conviction. First, I require evidence. All evidence is in order. Comprehended. Surveillance will commence without delay. Access to your financial records will be essential for tracing any unusual activity. I strongly suggest that you consult with a divorce attorney at your earliest convenience. The term divorce lingered in the atmosphere, the first instance it had been uttered into existence. After 23 years, it felt utterly inconceivable. Nevertheless, the evidence had begun to converge on a conclusion that I found impossible to overlook. There exists a colleague of mine, Helen Carter, exceptional family law attorney in the state, known for their discretion and meticulous approach. He gently pushed her card across the desk. Upon signing the investigation contract, Frank remarked, "Mr. Grayson, ensure that normalcy prevails at home. If they have even the slightest inkling that you possess any knowledge, they might hasten the execution of their plans." I nodded, my mind racing with the analytical precision that had defined my career for decades. I am capable of delivering a performance when the occasion calls for it. May I receive the initial report? Frank made a promise. 72 hours. At the earliest opportunity, should we uncover anything pressing. Our tradition of Sunday lunch had begun when Nora was just a child. In the midst of it all, I clung to the ritual, observing my wife with a fresh perspective as she crafted Nora's beloved pasta dish. Nora noticed her mother's improved demeanor as she assisted in setting the table. "You seem much better today, Mom," she remarked, It was merely an unfortunate response to something that Vanessa Cole mentioned. Her performance was nothing short of flawless. I am filled with regret for having marred our cherished dinner. I observed her, the woman with whom I had shared my bed for more than 20 years. Had she always possessed this remarkable talent for deception, or was it a craft she had honed through the passage of time? The phone rang, and Vanessa Cole picked it up, greeting the caller with a nonchalant, "Hello?" Her expression shifted ever so slightly upon hearing the voice on the other end of the line. "Greetings. Laura Bennett and Scott. Indeed, I find myself in a much improved state. I appreciate your attention to this matter." I became aware of what had previously eluded my attention. Her voice took on a gentle quality as she spoke to him, how she angled her body just a fraction away, crafting an illusion of seclusion within our culinary space. "Your uncle is incredibly considerate," she remarked to Nora, after ending the call, yet her gaze shifted to me, assessing my response. "He has always maintained a close connection with the family," I remarked in a neutral tone. The lunch unfolded with an oddly surreal sense of normalcy. I inquired of Nora regarding her college classes. We engaged in a conversation about our plans for the summer. As I listened, I found myself mentally cataloging the inconsistencies woven throughout Vanessa Cole's narratives of the past few weeks. "Do you recall the gallery opening you had last month?" I inquired with a nonchalant air. "Could you remind me of the artist's name once more?" Laura Bennett inquired about it. "Ah, yes, Richards. Jonathan Richards," Vanessa Cole replied, her voice steady and unwavering. A falsehood. I had perused her calendar that morning. That night, the gallery remained silent, devoid of any event. Yet she returned home in the late hours, reeking of wine and adorned with a pair of earrings that were not the ones she had worn when she departed. Once lunch had concluded, as Vanessa Cole engaged in a phone conversation amidst the garden's tranquility, Nora lent her hand in the task of washing the dishes. "Father, is all well between you and Mother?" The inquiry took me by surprise. "What prompts your inquiry?" "I'm uncertain. A certain shift lingers in the air." My insightful daughter, discerning the depths even when I remained oblivious. A message arrived, causing my phone to vibrate softly. "Robert Hayes. A meeting is necessary. Discovered something intriguing. The space where I work. 60 minutes. Everything's fine," I assured Nora, loathing the deception, yet understanding it was essential for the moment. Merely the weight of work-related tension. On that note, I must attend to a matter at the office and will return in a few hours. As I departed, I noticed Vanessa Cole absorbed in her phone, a smile gracing her lips that I now understood was not intended for my eyes. "I've been at this for 3 decades, Mr. Grayson," Frank remarked, as he fanned out photographs across his desk. "Yet, this segment remains a source of my disdain." The images narrated the tale my heart had stubbornly denied. Vanessa Cole and Laura Bennett and Scott stepped into the hotel side by side. Quiet scenes of connection framed by the soft glow of restaurant windows. His hand rested gently on her waist, while her lips brushed softly against his neck. The records indicated that meetings occurred thrice a week for a duration of no less than 2 months. Frank gestured towards the hotel receipts, stating, "These are from the Marriott on Westlake." They gather there with a certain regularity, consistently signing in under his name and settling incidental expenses in cash. However, I traced the room charges to a credit card that remains unfamiliar to you. He pushed a financial statement across the table, a card bearing Vanessa Cole's name, with bills directed to a P.O. box. Transactions originating from an unfamiliar account. Frank pressed on, revealing further details. "After observing their consistent meeting pattern, I discreetly installed a legal recording device in your brother-in-law's car. He activated the play function on a compact recorder." Vanessa Cole's voice resonated throughout the room. "The anniversary dinner arrives at just the right moment. All eyes will be on him as he experiences his medical episode. Given his family's legacy of heart issues, it will raise no eyebrows." Laura Bennett and Scott's reply sent a shiver down my spine. "Are you certain about the dosage? We wish to avoid any mishaps. I conducted thorough research on the subject. It will merely appear as though he has indulged a bit too freely in his libations. Perhaps an adverse response to the medication. Laura Bennett will firmly advocate for taking him to the hospital. You'll take the wheel, and I'll manage the rest from that point onward." What comes next? Upon the declaration of his incompetence to oversee his affairs, the power of attorney is activated, We shall possess the means to access all that lies before us: the dwelling, savings for retirement, and policies for protection. In just 6 months, we will be able to embrace our connection without reservation. Frank halted the recording. There is much more to explore, but I believe you grasp the essence. I remained enveloped in a profound silence, utterly taken aback. It was not merely an affair, it was a meticulously crafted scheme aimed at rendering me incompetent, to take not only my wife but also everything I had labored for throughout my life. "There's one more thing you should see," Frank murmured, gently pushing a document across the desk. "3 months ago, your wife sought the counsel of a divorce attorney, but not merely any attorney. A practitioner focused on matters concerning mental incapacity. I delved into the consultation notes that Frank had mysteriously acquired. The allusions to incapacity strategy and asset protection amid the turmoil of her spouse's medical crisis unmistakably revealed Vanessa Cole's true intentions. "What do you suggest?" I inquired, my tone unwavering even as turmoil raged within. "I have already reached out to Helen Carter. She awaits your call with anticipation. In situations such as this, Mr. Grayson, time does not favor you." While Vanessa Cole attended her yoga class, which was clearly a pretext for her rendezvous with Laura Bennett and Scott, I embarked on a meticulous exploration of our home office. Years spent delving into financial analysis have revealed to me that individuals inevitably leave behind traces of their actions, regardless of how meticulous they believe they are. Concealed beneath the deceptive base of Vanessa Cole's desk drawer, a secret compartment I had crafted for her birthday surprises long ago, I uncovered the treasure I sought: statements from a bank account that was solely opened in her name just a year and a half ago. Consistent withdrawals from our shared account, meticulously kept just under the threshold that would catch my eye. A rental application for an apartment located across town, dated 3 weeks prior. Granted. Documents pertaining to life insurance, reflecting the latest modifications in beneficiary designations. A USB drive held spreadsheets that outlined our assets, accompanied by annotations indicating which items could be swiftly liquidated and which would necessitate his signature or evidence of incapacity. I captured each detail with precision, my hands unwavering even as the weight of betrayal lingered in every document I encountered. This was more than a mere affair. The unraveling of our shared existence was executed with meticulous intent, each move orchestrated with chilling accuracy. The shrill ring of my phone pierced the silence, signaling the return of my financial advisor's call from earlier. "Matthew Cole, your concerns were indeed justified," he remarked. "Several peculiar transactions have emerged from your joint investment account. Withdrawals are slightly beneath the notification threshold, commenced approximately half a year prior. A total of approximately 120 has been transferred. Is it possible to freeze the accounts?" I inquired. "It requires the endorsement of both your signatures or alternatively, a court order. I will have my attorney reach out to you tomorrow." As I ended the call, the sound of Vanessa Cole's car rolling into the driveway reached my ears, arriving sooner than I had anticipated. I swiftly concealed everything once more, my thoughts swirling with the weight of my newfound revelations. The woman who had vowed to walk alongside me had been meticulously orchestrating the means to strip it away. 3 days later, I informed Vanessa Cole of a breakfast meeting with clients, yet I found myself parking 2 blocks away and making my way back on foot. A measured gamble, yet I felt compelled to uncover whether my presence was reshaping their intentions. I slipped in through the seldom-used side door, gliding quietly through the house until the sound of voices reached me from the kitchen. Vanessa Cole and Laura Bennett and Scott, conversing openly, unaware of my presence. "A fresh perspective is essential," Laura Bennett and Scott remarked, his tone laced with frustration. "The events that transpired at the restaurant have set everything back considerably." "It was that waiter," Vanessa Cole whispered with a sharp edge to her voice. His gaze lingered on me with an intensity that made it impossible to slip the full measure into the drink. Might he have uttered a word to Matthew Cole? A moment of stillness. I doubt it. Matthew Cole has been his usual self, blissfully unaware as ever. The nonchalant disdain in her voice pierced through me more profoundly than I had anticipated. "We must act swiftly," Laura Bennett and Scott urged. "Laura Bennett is inquiring about those late nights spent at the office, and the lease for the apartment is set to begin next month. Vanessa Cole made the decision for the family brunch on Sunday. We shall make another attempt there. It's flawless. All will gather to behold his moment. We must exercise greater caution regarding the timing. If it fails to yield results, we shall proceed to our alternative strategy. Securing control of his assets is paramount, especially before he has any inkling of what's unfolding. Once that is accomplished, his knowledge becomes irrelevant. Regardless, his truth will fall on deaf ears. Laura Bennett and Scott chuckled gently. In the future, fortune may not favor him as it has before. I slipped away as quietly as I had come, a chill resolve taking the place of the shock and pain. They revealed their true selves to me, along with their intentions. At this moment, I knew it was essential to safeguard both myself and Nora from the impending schemes they had in store. As I navigated the road to Helen Carter's office, my path was unmistakable. I would cease to be reactive. From this moment onward, I would take on the role of the architect, shaping the events that would unfold next. The office of Helen Carter stood as a testament to her esteemed reputation, exuding an air of meticulous organization, professionalism, and an unwavering sense of discretion. The walls were adorned with awards and credentials, and her handshake was resolute as she welcomed me. Mr. Grayson, I have been informed about your situation by Frank. I deeply empathize with the challenges you're facing. My sincere gratitude to you. At this juncture, my inclination is to concentrate on solutions rather than dwell on sympathy. She offered a nod of approval. Let us proceed with purpose. I have examined the evidence that Frank presented. The affair itself might be simple enough, yet the attempt at drugging and the financial improprieties significantly complicate the matter. In the following hour, we crafted a detailed strategy. Catherine elucidated the ways in which we could leverage the evidence to attain the most advantageous divorce terms. In light of the documented effort to administer drugs to you, along with the recorded dialogue concerning your competency, we possess sufficient grounds for an emergency injunction to freeze all your assets, she elucidated. Furthermore, we may seek exclusive rights to the marital residence throughout the course of the proceedings. And I inquired of Nora, even as she stood on the threshold of adulthood, safeguarding her from the repercussions continued to be my foremost concern. At the age of 19, custody is no longer a concern. However, the court will take her well-being into account. The indications point to your wife being prepared to inflict harm upon you for the sake of financial benefit. Such a perspective would hardly earn the approval of any judge. We deliberated on timing, Catherine tapping her pen in a contemplative manner. The family brunch you spoke of offers a fascinating prospect. Should they be contemplating another endeavor in that location, we could arrange for the papers to be served without delay thereafter. The presence of family as witnesses constrains her capacity to shape the story as she wishes. What is the situation with Laura Bennett and Scott? Laura Bennett, his wife, is undeserving of this unexpected betrayal. I would recommend having a private conversation with her prior to the meeting. She could emerge as a significant ally, and it is the right course of action to take. As we concluded our strategy, Catherine presented me with a substantial folder. Your divorce petition is prepared and awaits filing. Peruse it this evening. We can present it on Monday morning and ensure it is delivered at your family gathering. I examined the document that would conclude 23 years of union. In spite of all that had transpired, it carried a weight of significance. Catherine interjected with a final thought. Until this matter is settled, refrain from consuming any food or drink that your wife prepares. Considering the recordings, I believe we must exercise a degree of caution. As I departed, the heft of the manila folder felt like a tangible representation of the seriousness of what awaited me. It was not merely the conclusion of a marriage, it was the unveiling of a betrayal that would alter the very fabric of our family. I scheduled a rendezvous with Laura Bennett at her office, a discreet setting where we could remain unseen. Having been Laura Bennett Scott's wife and Vanessa Cole's dear friend for more than 2 decades, it was only right that she receive the truth straight from me. That afternoon, the community college where she taught art was enveloped in a serene stillness. Her workspace was a vivid manifestation of her imaginative essence. Artwork by students adorns the walls, a delightful disarray occupies her desk, and the soft aroma of clay and paint lingers in the air. A delightful surprise, she smiled, yet a hint of curiosity furrowed her brow. Is all well? Vanessa Cole continues to feel unwell. Laura Bennett, I must share something challenging with you. I began, my carefully prepared words suddenly feeling insufficient for the moment. This is not an easy message to convey. Laura Bennett and Scott and Vanessa Cole are entangled in a secret liaison. Her expression became a mask of stillness. That simply cannot be. They share a bond akin to that of siblings. With quiet anticipation, I unfastened the folder that Frank had meticulously arranged. Curated images, accommodation invoices, financial records, SMS exchanges, written accounts. Laura Bennett's hand quivered as she scrutinized every fragment of evidence. Her complexion drained of color, only to be replaced by a sudden rush of warmth. For how long have you been aware? Since the anniversary dinner, the situation has escalated beyond mere infidelity. With a moment of uncertainty, I pressed play on the recording of their conversation regarding the plan to drug me. Laura Bennett's hand darted to her mouth. Oh my goodness, they were scheming to. They might have taken your life. I doubt that was the intended outcome. Merely to render me insufficiently capable to proclaim my own competence, seize the reins of our financial destiny. She shook her head, a gesture steeped in disbelief. For 22 years I have shared my life with him. I believed I understood him. We lingered in a comfortable hush. Two individuals whose existences had been constructed upon bases now exposed as mere grains. What will your next move be? At long last, she posed the question. I articulated my strategy. The filing for divorce, the tense confrontation at the family brunch. I ought to be there, Laura Bennett remarked, a fresh determination solidifying her tone. We were both betrayed by them. They ought to confront us both. Do you truly believe that? The path ahead will be challenging. Challenging? A harsh chuckle slipped from her lips. Matthew Cole, they have been chuckling in the shadows, scheming to unravel our very existence. They cannot escape the consequences of their actions. As we orchestrated our strategy for Sunday, Laura Bennett's demeanor transformed from disbelief to resolute determination. They didn't merely betray us, she murmured softly. They failed to recognize our true potential. In that instant, I discerned a quality in Laura Bennett that I had always cherished within myself, the subtle power that is frequently misinterpreted as inaction until it faces a challenge. It was indeed Sunday, I affirmed. Let us convene prior to finalize the details. As I departed, an unexpected sensation washed over me amidst the anguish, a profound sense of unity in our shared reality, and the faintest glimmer that perhaps, once this tumult had subsided, there existed a life ripe for reconstruction. I extended an invitation to Nora for dinner at Riverside Grill, a place that has held a special place in her heart since her childhood. In the midst of the tension that had settled over our home, I sought to gently ready her, even if only in subtle ways, for the inevitable changes ahead. She entered the room, a harmonious fusion of Vanessa Cole and myself, her mother's elegant cheekbones paired with my keen, analytical gaze. At 19, she found herself at the brink of adulthood, perceiving her parents through the prism of her childhood, even as she began to carve out her own identity. Just the two of us tonight, she inquired, as she gracefully settled into the booth. Is Mother working late into the evening? She had made arrangements with friends, I remarked, the obligatory falsehood leaving a sour taste. I envisioned a moment for us to share, just the two of us, a cherished father-daughter experience. As we savored the appetizers, our conversation flowed to her studies, her circle of friends, and her aspirations for summer internships. I cherished these fleeting moments of her existence, now even more valuable with the awareness of the impending shifts in our family dynamic. Father, may I pose a question to you? She spoke just as our entrees made their grand entrance. What led you to realize that Mom was the person you could entrust with your very existence? The inquiry struck me with a purity that felt almost serendipitous. What prompts your inquiry? I succeeded, maintaining an even tone. She explained that there's this guy she's been seeing. He utters all the appropriate phrases, yet at times, I can't shake the feeling that something is amiss, as if he is merely acting rather than being genuine. I pondered my reply with great deliberation. Trust is cultivated through unwavering consistency, Nora, not merely in the alignment of words and actions, but across the passage of time. The individual one presents to the world ought to be in harmony with their true self behind closed doors. She smiled, the comment unintentionally sharp, reminiscent of you and Mom. For relationships to endure, Honesty is essential, I elaborated. When trust is fractured, it resembles a glass vase that has been splintered into countless pieces. At times, restoration is possible, yet the fractures will forever remain visible. It seems as though personal experience is at play here. I merely attributed it to the wisdom that accompanies the passage of time. Throughout my life, I have witnessed a myriad of relationships, some blossoming beautifully, while others faltered and fell apart. Dishonesty, in its various manifestations, was the thread that wove through each of the failures. She nodded with a contemplative air. Mom has been behaving oddly of late, frequently glued to her phone, yet she quickly conceals the screen whenever I enter the room. Moreover, she's been posing peculiar inquiries regarding your retirement accounts. My heart plummeted at the realization that Vanessa Cole's actions had caught the attention of our daughter. At times, individuals undergo transformation, I remarked thoughtfully. Or maybe we simply come to recognize the essence of who they have always been. That's quite disheartening, Father. Not exactly. Embracing the truth, no matter how painful, is the essential first step in the journey toward creating something genuine. As we savored the dessert together, I ensured she understood one thing with unwavering clarity. She cast me a glance filled with intrigue. This evening you seem to be delving into deep thoughts. I cherish this moment with you, I confess sincerely, and I hope you hold on to the understanding that confronting difficult realities requires bravery, yet it is far more rewarding than dwelling in a soothing falsehood. As I navigated the road back to campus, I found myself hoping that I was equipping her well for the tempest that loomed over our family. Sunday morning dawned with a radiant clarity, presenting a splendid backdrop for a family gathering, or perhaps a moment of reckoning. Laura Bennett and I convened at a coffee shop an hour prior to brunch to refine our strategy. The weight of the past week lingered in the dark circles under her eyes, yet her determination stood unwavering. This morning, I had a conversation with Catherine, during which I shared my thoughts with her. The process server is set to arrive at 1:30, just as dessert is being served. Laura Bennett nodded, her fingers twisting the wedding ring, a gesture I had observed becoming habitual since our last conversation. It's hard to fathom that they believed they could escape the consequences of their actions. Individuals often persuade themselves of their desired beliefs, I remarked, including the notion that those they betray will remain passive. Robert Hayes made his entrance, deftly sliding a final envelope across the table. Further proof from yesterday. They reconvened at the Marriott, where I enlisted my tech expert to retrieve deleted messages that hint at a backup strategy concerning your medication. I have compiled these into my evidence folder, creating a thorough account of betrayals that stretches over several months. Do you truly wish to proceed with this in a public manner? Frank inquired. A secluded encounter could prove to be more manageable. They intended to subject me to public humiliation with some kind of spectacle at this very brunch, I responded. They are unworthy of the respect that privacy entails. In the warmth of my home, Vanessa Cole embraced her role as the perfect hostess, meticulously arranging flowers and guiding the caterer she had engaged. An unexpected indulgence for what usually unfolded as a laid-back family gathering. Her anxious energy brought to mind the anniversary dinner. With the context now clear, I found understanding in it. Everything appears splendid, I remarked, embracing my role. You have truly surpassed all expectations. Indeed, family gatherings hold significance, she smiled, planting a kiss on my cheek with a familiarity that spoke of practiced affection. I've placed your heart medication on the counter for you. Be sure to remember to take it before the arrival of everyone, I acknowledged with a nod, yet the pills remained undisturbed. Visitors started to make their entrance. Vanessa Cole's sister and her husband, along with my brother's family and a handful of close friends. Laura Bennett was the last to enter, her calm demeanor betraying none of the knowledge she held within. Laura Benetton Scott feigned assistance as he helped Vanessa Cole organize the drinks, their hands grazing each other in a manner that now felt strikingly apparent. They shared fleeting looks, assured in the clandestine scheme they had devised. Across the room, our gazes met, and I found myself captivated by Laura Bennett's presence. She offered a barely noticeable nod. The moment had arrived. I positioned myself at the forefront of the dining table, lifting my glass of water high. As we gather around this delightful table, I wish to share a few thoughts before we indulge in our meal. Silence enveloped the room, as all eyes turned in eager anticipation. Vanessa Cole offered a warm smile, her eyes sparkling with understanding, as Laura Bennett and Scott glanced at his watch, seemingly measuring the minutes until their next adventure. Gatherings such as these revolve around the essence of connection, I began, embodying honesty, loyalty, and trust. The principles I have long held dear serve as the bedrock of any meaningful relationship. Vanessa Cole's smile wavered just a bit in response to my tone. Regrettably, I have come to realize that not all individuals hold these values in common. I extended my hand toward the folder resting next to my plate. Indeed, there are those among us who have participated in a deliberate betrayal that I must confront candidly. Whispers of uncertainty flowed through the space. Vanessa Cole's face transformed from bewilderment to a sudden sense of urgency. Matthew Cole, could you clarify what you mean? This moment is not suitable. With a steady voice, I expressed my dissent. Now is the moment, surrounded by family, to behold the truth. With careful precision, I laid out the evidence across the dining room table, weaving a narrative as I progressed. These photographs capture the intricate details of a months-long affair involving my wife, Vanessa Cole, and my brother-in-law, Laura Bennett and Scott. Whispers of astonishment and cries of surprise echoed throughout the space. Laura Bennett and Scott rose partially from his chair. This is utterly absurd. I have not yet reached the end. I pressed on. My voice remains unwavering. The bank statements reveal unauthorized transfers from our joint accounts. The hotel receipts serve as evidence of their consistent gatherings. Most troubling is the revelation that during our anniversary dinner last week, Vanessa Cole made an attempt to drug me, a maneuver that seems to be part of a broader scheme to have me deemed mentally incompetent and seize control of our assets. The heavy stillness that enveloped the room was pierced by Vanessa Cole's strained chuckle. This is utterly ridiculous. Matthew Cole appears to be experiencing a significant crisis. He has been burdened by an overwhelming amount of stress. I have recordings, I murmured, gently pressing play on Frank's device. The air was thick with the sound of Vanessa Cole and Laura Bennett and Scott's voices, weaving together their schemes for the anniversary incident and the aftermath that awaited once I was no longer in the frame. The hue faded from their cheeks as the weight of their own words bore down upon them, sealing their fate. That's taken out of context, Laura Bennett and Scott stammered, his eyes darting to Laura Bennett, who met his gaze with an unyielding chill. As I continued, I unveiled the details gleaned from yesterday's surveillance, noting that you had intended to make another attempt today. It seems to pertain to my heart medication, I think. I faced our assembled family. I regret having to make this public announcement, yet I believe it is essential for you all to be informed of the truth, particularly as you were intended to be witnesses to the medical emergency they orchestrated for me today. A sudden jarring knock at the door shattered the stunned stillness. The process server stepped inside, making a beeline for Vanessa Cole. Vanessa Cole, you have received divorce papers citing adultery, financial misconduct, and attempts at harm. As she accepted the documents with a sense of detachment, I reflected softly. I believed we were commemorating 23 years of marriage, yet today we find ourselves honoring something entirely different. The undeniable truth. The stillness that ensued felt as if it could last forever, until at last, my sister-in-law's terrified whisper shattered the quiet. Vanessa Cole, please tell me this isn't true. Vanessa Cole remained motionless, the divorce papers gripped tightly in her hand, as her meticulously built world crumbled around her. Laura Bennett and Scott huddled in his chair, his gaze flitting nervously between Laura Bennett and the door, as if plotting his potential escape. I believe an explanation is due from both of you, Laura Bennett remarked, her tone surprisingly composed. While I find it difficult to imagine any words that could adequately explain what we've just encountered, Vanessa Cole's astonishment morphed into a chilling rage. You subjected me to scrutiny. Did you rummage through my personal belongings? Her effort to deflect responsibility met with skepticism, as whispers of doubt rippled through the gathering. Is that truly your reply? I inquired softly. It's not about denying the drugging, nor is it an attempt to clarify the affair or the financial deceit. Rather, it's the anger stemming from being exposed that truly resonates. Nora, previously enveloped in silence, rose suddenly. Mom, did you truly attempt to harm Dad? Her voice quivered, caught in the delicate balance between the innocence of childhood trust and the harsh awakening of adult awareness of the unimaginable. Vanessa Cole's gaze flitted across the room, assessing her audience as if she were weighing some unspoken equation. Very well. Do you seek the truth? Indeed, Laura Bennett and Scott and I share a profound love. We have existed for years. Laura Bennett and Scott's head shot up, startled. This was evidently not included in their narrative. Vanessa Cole, he began, but she interrupted him. No, I refuse to remain in the shadows any longer. Your dear father, she hissed, has been nothing but a tiresome, monotonous wait for years. I lingered for Nora, yet when she departed for college, she merely shrugged. I am worthy of joy. Laura Bennett T. and Scott brings joy to my life. What about the attempt to drug someone? Laura Bennett inquired, her tone laced with a simmering intensity. Did that also play a role in your quest for happiness? With a disquieting nonchalance, Vanessa Cole confessed that a medical incident would have been a more palatable alternative to divorce. Matthew Cole would have received care in a facility, and all would have expressed sympathy for me, the devoted wife navigating her husband's decline. The atmosphere thickened, as if the entire room held its breath in response to her unfeeling words. This was not her first encounter with such revelations, she remarked, a hint of pleasure dancing in her eyes as the shock of her unveiled secret hung in the air. Others have walked this path before Laura Bennett and Scott. Matthew Cole's trust ran so deep that he remained blissfully unaware. I held my ground, even as each new discovery cut deep. It seems we've reached a point of saturation. Oh, I find that hard to believe, Vanessa Cole chuckled with a hint of bitterness. Do you truly believe that your modest inquiry has unveiled all there is to know? You never truly understood me, Matthew Cole. For 23 years, you never truly perceived my essence. Nora stepped closer, her fingers intertwining with mine in a gesture of quiet solidarity. I express my desire for both of you to depart, my tone resolute. The house remains under my legal ownership until the court proceedings reach their conclusion. Your possessions will be accessible via our legal representatives. You can't simply cast me aside, Vanessa Cole protested, her understanding of the situation dawning upon her with a sudden clarity. Indeed he can, remarked a voice from the threshold. Robert Hayes advanced, identification clutched firmly in his grasp. Mrs. Grayson, Mr. Miller, I am a licensed investigator who has meticulously recorded your involvement in a conspiracy to commit fraud and possibly assault. You have the option to depart willingly, or we may need to engage law enforcement. The decision rests with you. The collective stance of my family, now aligned with me instead of her, appeared to finally breach Vanessa Cole's fortress of indignation. This isn't over, she hissed, gathering her purse with a determined flick of her wrist. This public humiliation will haunt you. Quietly, I confessed my only regret was placing my faith in a figment of my imagination. As Vanessa Cole made her way toward the door, Laura Bennett and Scott attempted to pursue her, yet Laura Bennett stood firmly in his way. Not so fast, she remarked. An explanation is what I believe you owe me, first and foremost. Laura Bennett, this isn't what it seems, he started, his voice laced with desperation. Vanessa Cole exerted her influence over me. She sought me out. Her ability to persuade is truly remarkable. Vanessa Cole spun around, disbelief etched across her face. Is this for real? Are you really going to place the blame on me now? You promised we'd never confront them in this way, Laura Bennett and Scott hissed. You vowed to sever ties completely after Matthew Cole was. After I was what? Laura Bennett and Scott? I interrupted, rendered unable to function. Are we talking about being institutionalized? Deceased? The gathered family stood in shocked silence, their eyes wide as the complete magnitude of the treachery revealed itself before them. It was never meant to unfold like this, Vanessa Cole remarked, an unusual tranquility enveloping her. However, in the spirit of transparency, let us embrace total honesty. She pivoted to confront the room, her posture imbued with an air of drama. For years, a shadow of discontent has lingered over me. Matthew Cole offered a foundation of stability, financial security, and respectability qualities instilled in me as essential by my generation. Yet, it was in the realms of passion, connection, and understanding that I sought fulfillment beyond his reach. Mom, Nora protested, her cheeks burning with a mix of embarrassment and anger. The moment has come for you to uncover the truth as well, my dear. The ideal family you believed you possessed was merely a facade. Your father, so immersed in his role as the steadfast provider, remained blissfully unaware as I began to seek solace in other places. Initially, it was David from the tennis club, followed by Michael from the Arts Council. Every name struck me with the force of a physical blow, yet I held my ground, determined not to grant her the pleasure of witnessing my unraveling. Laura Bennett and Scott stood apart, she went on. We forged a profound connection. Plans were crafted, genuine aspirations for a shared future. Plans that involved taking my father's money and drugging him, Nora remarked, her tone laced with a bitter sense of betrayal. We chose to view it as hastening an unavoidable shift. Vanessa Cole responded with a calm assurance. Your father is aging gracefully. To have taken care of his condition would have been a true act of compassion indeed. My status as a bothersome spouse? I inquired. She retorted, asserting that your presence stood as a barrier between me and the life I was meant to lead. Can you fathom the weight of pretending to be the devoted wife to a man who never truly acknowledged my existence? Who imagined that anniversary dinners and cozy routines would suffice? Her words unveiled an unfamiliar presence cloaked in my wife's visage. Someone with whom I had shared a bed for 23 years, yet it seems I never truly knew them. I refuse to apologize for my desire for more, she declared with unwavering resolve. My sole regret lies in the inability to carry out our plan as intended. The atmosphere thickened, heavy with the weight of her utter indifference. Not a soul stepped forward to stand by her side, to challenge my claims, or to propose a path toward healing. Through her unrestrained candor, Vanessa Cole achieved what my meticulously collected evidence perhaps could not. She had laid bare her essence, dispelling any uncertainty regarding the righteousness of what was to come. I believe we've heard enough, my brother finally declared, shattering the horrified silence. Vanessa Cole, it would be wise for you to depart at this moment, while there remains a flicker of dignity within you. As she collected her belongings, she lingered momentarily beside me. This is not the conclusion, Matthew Cole. I possess knowledge about you as well. The distinction lies in my soft response. I possess nothing to conceal. As Vanessa Cole made her dramatic exit, the atmosphere shifted, and all attention gravitated towards Laura Bennett and Scott, who appeared to shrink beneath the weight of the family's collective gaze. Laura Bennett stood before him, her arms crossed, a silent sentinel of anticipation. Laura Bennett, please, he started, his voice adopting a tone of desperation. This spiraled beyond my control. I never intended for it to escalate to this extent. Which part? Laura Bennett asked, her voice icy. The affair with my sister? The scheme to incapacitate my brother-in-law? Or the plot to appropriate his wealth? You fail to grasp the depth of Vanessa Cole's persuasive abilities. It was she who initiated it, she who sought me out. I acknowledge my weakness. However, the remaining aspects, the drugging, the financial matters, were entirely her conception. I observed my brother-in-law's frantic effort to reclaim something from the ruins, perceiving the familiar behavior of a man who had never truly embraced accountability for his choices. I possess my own evidence, Laura Bennett declared, catching both Laura Bennett and Scott and me off guard as she retrieved a folder from her bag. Upon hearing from Matthew Cole about your affair, I embarked on my own inquiry. She laid out the photographs on the table. Laura Bennett and Scott withdrawing cash from ATMs. Laura Bennett and Scott in conversation with a figure I recognized as Vanessa Cole's divorce attorney, and Laura Bennett and Scott in a jewelry store, scrutinizing luxurious watches. You used our savings, Laura Bennett stated flatly. 50, 0. Withdrawn over the past 4 months. Money we were saving for retirement. Laura Bennett. Scott's complexion drained of color. I can explain, she said, as she set a real estate brochure on the table, a lakefront property, solely in your name, acquired 3 weeks ago without my awareness or approval. A pang of sympathy washed over me for Laura Bennett. As I fixated on the sting of Vanessa Cole's betrayal, she was quietly unraveling her own harrowing inquiry. Yet, the most painful aspect, Laura Bennett pressed on, her voice trembling at last, is the damage inflicted upon the business. I was taken by surprise. Laura Bennett and Scott and I had once been partners in a modest investment firm, a venture we shared until my semi-retirement 3 years prior, though I continued to hold a financial stake in the enterprise. What is the status of the business? I inquired with a pointed edge. Laura Bennett cast a glance my way, her eyes filled with an unmistakable sense of regret. He has been diverting funds from the company accounts, employing your digital signature to sanction transfers, totaling at least 300 over the past year. Once more, the room succumbed to silence. The betrayal transcended mere personal grievances, escalating into the realm of potential criminality fueled by business fraud. Could this possibly be true? I inquired of Laura Bennett and Scott without hesitation. He buried his face in his hands, his shoulders trembling with the weight of his emotions. "It was never meant to unfold this way," he murmured. "We intended to repay the entire amount once all matters were resolved." Once I had stepped aside. "You mean," I clarified. He offered no denial. With a measured grace, Laura Bennett set her wedding ring upon the table. "I expect you to leave the house by evening. Tomorrow you can expect to hear from my lawyer." "Laura Bennett, I implore you." Laura Bennett and Scott extended his hand toward her, yet she recoiled, creating a palpable distance between them. "Please, don't touch me," she murmured softly. "You've become a stranger to me." I find myself questioning whether I truly ever did. My nephew, Eric, took a step forward. "Uncle Laura Bennett and Scott, I believe it's time for you to take your leave. I shall take you to a hotel." As Laura Bennett and Scott was escorted from the room, he threw a final pleading glance at Laura Bennett. "My affection for you remains unwavering." Her reply struck with a profound clarity that was almost overwhelming. "We were worthy of more than either of you could offer." With the door's final click, the room seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, as though a lingering poison had at last been expelled from our midst. The forsaken brunch lingered on the dining table, untouched, while the family grappled with the weight of recent events. The sudden departure of Vanessa Cole and Laura Bennett and Scott created an emptiness that lingered, leaving everyone at a loss for how to address it. With a heavy heart, I finally broke the uncomfortable silence, my voice trembling as I expressed my regret. "I'm so sorry you all had to witness this." I wrestled with the idea of keeping it to myself, yet considering their intentions for today, I believed it was essential for everyone to be aware of the reality. My sister extended her hand across the table, gently squeezing mine. "There is no need for you to express regret, Matthew Cole. While the revelation has left us all reeling, it is far preferable to be enlightened than to remain shrouded in ignorance." "I can't believe Mom would do this," Nora said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Throughout all these years, was it merely a performance?" I draped my arm around her shoulders. "Not all things. Nora, I am certain that her love for you was genuine. Yet, she was prepared to inflict pain upon you," Nora insisted. "To administer a substance to you. How could she betray someone she was meant to cherish?" Laura Bennett entered the scene, her initial astonishment transforming into a focused worry. "Perhaps it would be wise for us to gather and partake in this delightful meal. Shock becomes more manageable when accompanied by a touch of sustenance." Gradually, the family started to reposition themselves. The vacant chairs that once cradled Vanessa Cole and Laura Bennett and Scott served as a poignant reminder of both the losses endured and the truths unveiled, hinting at the possibilities that now lay ahead. As the plates filled and conversations cautiously rekindled, I observed the family effortlessly rearranging themselves. Nora remained by my side, while Laura Bennett took her place at our end of the table, and the others encircled us in a steadfast display of solidarity. "What happens now?" my brother inquired, articulating the thought that lingered in the minds of us all. "As required by law," I clarified, "matters will unfold accordingly. Amidst the turmoil of divorce, the looming specter of criminal charges for the drugging attempt, and the shadows of financial fraud, we shall find a way to heal as a family, distinct yet undeniably intertwined." "Will you remain in the house?" Laura Bennett inquired. "At this moment. This is the place Nora calls home when she is away from college. A semblance of stability appears to hold significance." Nora offered a grateful nod. "The thought of losing you and the home we share simultaneously is more than I can bear," I reassured her. "You're not losing me. Your relationship with your mother will also undergo a transformation. Change is inevitable, yet it need not signify a total conclusion." Nora confessed, "I'm uncertain about pursuing a relationship with her at this moment. Time is what I seek. Time is a precious resource we all require." Laura Bennett nodded in agreement. "And maybe a new beginning." As the afternoon unfolded, the dialogue slowly transitioned from the initial astonishment to more pragmatic considerations. Altering security codes, revising legal documents, and strategizing for the upcoming weeks. Amidst the turmoil, a burgeoning sense of possibility stirred beneath the weight of the pain. As the family prepared to part ways, each member exchanged heartfelt words of encouragement and vowed to maintain their close ties. As the evening drew to a close, Laura Bennett lingered, offering her assistance to Nora and me as we tidied up the remnants of the lavish spread that had gone largely untouched. "I never saw this coming," she confessed as we toiled together, side by side. "For all those years, I believed we truly understood them. Perhaps we were only familiar with the versions of them we imagined," I proposed, "or who we required them to become." She nodded with a contemplative air. "My mind lingers on the multitude of signs that slipped through my fingers. Both of us did. Yet, that is now a chapter closed." As she readied herself to depart, Laura Bennett lingered at the threshold. "Matthew Cole, I understand that we are both facing a challenging period ahead with the legal proceedings. Yet, I hold on to the hope that we can stand by one another during this time. You and Nora will always hold a special place in my heart as family. I shall forever remain, as I vowed." Once she departed, Nora and I lingered in the stillness of the living room. The house felt both emptier and, in a peculiar way, lighter. "Father," she uttered at last, "this evening I shall remain here with you. I wish for your company, for solitude is a heavy burden to bear." I found myself conceding that I would indeed welcome such a notion. The transition ahead promises to be an unusual one. She consented for the benefit of us both. Yet, we shall navigate this journey side by side. As the shadows deepened beyond my window, it dawned on me that although one chapter of my life had closed in treachery, another was unfolding, one forged in the light of truth, challenging though it may be, rather than the ease of falsehood. Within that truth resided the potential for authentic bonds with those who genuinely warranted my trust. Everyone, please stand. The court proceedings are officially underway. The esteemed Eleanor White is presiding over the proceedings. A month had passed since the family brunch revelation, and now the divorce proceedings were poised for their first significant hearing. Vanessa Cole positioned herself alongside her attorney on one side of the courtroom, while Helen Carter and I took our place on the opposite side. Behind us, the gallery was filled with several family members, among them Nora, and unexpectedly, Laura Bennett. Judge Winters, a formidable figure in her 60s, adorned with steel-rimmed glasses, meticulously examined the documents laid out before her. "Herein lies the case identified as 2025 DR 4872, Grayson versus Grayson. Today, we gather to discuss the petition for temporary orders concerning residence, support, and the freezing of assets while we await the final divorce decree." She lifted her gaze, scanning the gatherings. "I have examined the filings, including the remarkable evidence put forth by the petitioner." "Miss Wells, you may continue." Catherine stood, exuding an air of serene command. "Your Honor, my client respectfully requests the exclusive use of the marital home throughout these proceedings. A complete freeze on all joint assets until equitable distribution can be achieved, and primary custody arrangements for their daughter, who, despite being of legal age, remains financially dependent as a college student." Vanessa Cole's attorney, a sharply dressed figure exuding an air of assertiveness, stood up with purpose. "Your Honor, my client challenges these demands as being both excessive and punitive in nature. Mrs. Grayson possesses an equal claim to the marital home and its assets. The purported misconduct has been significantly overstated." Judge Winters raised her hand. "Dear Counselor, I have meticulously examined the evidence at hand, which encompasses audio recordings, financial documents, and witness testimonies pertaining to the purported attempt to drug Mr. Grayson. Are you implying that these materials are manufactured?" "Not invented, Your Honor, but rather extracted from its context and misrepresented." Indeed, the judge's eyebrow arched in skepticism. In the intricate web of human relationships, the backdrop that would illuminate a recorded conversation concerning the drugging of a spouse and the subsequent declaration of incompetence would be. Vanessa Cole's attorney stumbled, yet Vanessa Cole herself held a resolute demeanor. The judge pressed on, seemingly unfazed by my doubts. "Upon careful examination of the evidence, I conclude that the petitioner's requests are not only justified but essential for his safeguarding. She jotted down a few notes on her documents before proceeding further. The temporary orders are outlined as follows. Mr. Grayson will maintain sole possession of the marital residence. All joint assets remain frozen as we await the final distribution, save for Mr. Grayson's personal accounts, which, according to the evidence, appear to have been unaffected by Mrs. Grayson's actions. Mrs. Grayson shall engage in supervised visitation with her daughter, contingent upon Miss Nora Grayson's desire for such interaction. At the mere mention of supervised visitation, Vanessa Cole's body tensed, a clear sign of her discomfort. Moreover, the judge stated, considering the gravity of the allegations concerning attempted incapacitation, I am forwarding this case to the district attorney's office for an evaluation of possible criminal charges. This court regards such allegations with the utmost seriousness. The gavel struck with an air of irrevocable conclusion. All orders must be documented in writing by the close of business today. The meeting is now concluded. As we assembled our belongings to depart, I locked eyes with Vanessa Cole from across the courtroom. For the first time since the confrontation, I glimpsed a flicker of something beyond defiance in her eyes, a dawning realization that her actions bore consequences she had not foreseen. In the open air, Nora stood alongside Laura Bennett, each enveloping the other in warm, reassuring embraces. Relief washed over Nora's voice as she spoke. The judge believed you. Catherine articulated that the evidence was compelling, noting that Judge Winters is known for his ability to see through manipulation. This marks merely the inception, yet it is indeed a promising commencement. As we strolled toward the parking lot, Laura Bennett matched her pace with mine. How are you truly faring, Matthew Cole? It surpassed my expectations, I confessed. There exists a distinct sense of liberation in laying everything bare. The time for pretense has come to an end. She nodded in understanding, her expression reflecting a shared sentiment. It brings a certain ache, yet possesses a clarity of its own. We came to a halt beside our vehicles. This weekend, she proposed dinner. I discovered a new Italian restaurant that isn't Giovanni's. A smile graced my lips at her profound understanding. I would appreciate that. Perhaps Nora could accompany us? Laura Bennett consented to the family dinner. The authentic variety. As I navigated the familiar roads home, my mind lingered on the judge's profound remarks regarding the intricate dance between evidence and truth. After years immersed in the intricacies of financial analysis, it seems I should have been aware. Figures speak the truth, just as deeds do. The truth, though it stung, had laid a fresh groundwork for all that lay ahead. 2 evenings later, Nora and I found ourselves on the back porch, captivated by the sunset as it brushed the sky with hues of orange and gold. She had relocated the majority of her belongings back home for the summer, infusing vitality into spaces that had seemed desolate following Vanessa Cole's exit. A message from Mom arrived today, shattering the peaceful quiet that enveloped us. She is eager to arrange a coffee meeting for the upcoming week. I weighed my response with great deliberation. What are your thoughts on that? With a sense of inner turmoil, Nora curled her legs beneath her on the porch swing. A part of me wishes to never lay eyes on her again after what she did to you. Yet another part clings to the memory of her as Mom. You understand. The individual who tended to my scraped knees and assisted with my academic endeavors. Those memories hold a tangible truth, Nora. Whatever transpired between your mother and me does not diminish the positive aspects of your bond with her. Yet how can I place my trust in anything concerning her at this moment? The anguish in her voice was unmistakable. Had she always been this individual? Did I simply overlook it? I let out a weary sigh, seeking clarity in a circumstance that offered me scant answers. It seems to me that individuals rarely embody a singular essence. Your mother has made some unfortunate decisions, particularly in recent times. Yet, it does not imply that every single moment over the past 23 years was untruthful. Were there indications? What observations have you made yet chosen to overlook? Upon reflection, indeed, discrepancies woven into her narratives, absences that defy explanation, transformations in conduct. Yet, in the throes of love, one often finds themselves justifying such matters. You weave tales that safeguard the perception you hold of them. Nora fell silent for a brief moment. What truly irks me the most? It wasn't merely that she betrayed your trust or sought to inflict pain upon you. Her lack of remorse was striking. Not a single one, I confess that it took me by surprise as well. I had always believed I understood her essence, even amidst turmoil. Yet, it may be the most challenging lesson of all in this journey. At times, we find ourselves unaware of the true essence of those who are nearest to us. How can we ever place our trust in another? The inquiry carried the weight of her 19 years, pulsating with a sense of immediacy. Trust must be cultivated over time, not merely granted and then overlooked. Individuals unveil their true selves through the consistent patterns of their actions as time unfolds. One must focus on the underlying patterns rather than merely the enticing promises. Nora rested her weight against my shoulder, evoking memories of her younger days. I shall still proceed to meet her. I seek clarity for my own understanding. That is your prerogative. Keep in mind that you have the power to define the boundaries of the relationship you desire as you move ahead. As you did, she took note. Your response was not merely an emotional one. You collected the necessary evidence, sought the counsel of experts, and then took decisive action. Her insight brought a smile to my face. That's the analyst within me. Proof prior to taking action. This is a commendable approach. She lifted her posture, locking her gaze with mine. Father, I have a question for you. Are you truly all right? Your attention has been so devoted to managing the practical aspects, yet what of the emotional side? The inquiry took me by surprise. I am in the midst of reflection, I admitted candidly. Indeed, there exists a palpable sense of anger, wounded, a feeling of time squandered. Yet, paradoxically, a sense of relief washes over me. It feels as though I've shed a burden I was unaware of, and now it has lifted from me. What lies ahead? What do you desire for yourself at this moment? I had refrained from contemplating the future, my attention consumed by the intricacies of legal matters and the care of Nora. I find myself in a state of uncertainty at this moment. Indeed, to reconstruct, to achieve tranquility regarding the events that transpired. Further than that, I merely shrugged my shoulders. I embraced the myriad of possibilities that lie ahead. In a manner reminiscent of Laura Bennett, Nora inquired with unexpected candor, "Could you clarify what you mean?" "Father, I am 19 years old, not oblivious. Your bond is evident, the way you uplift one another through this journey." A wave of embarrassment washed over me, intertwined with an unfamiliar sensation. There exists a chance, maybe. Laura Bennett and I share a friendship, Nora. We are both navigating through comparable betrayals. Is that everything? At this moment, indeed. We must allow ourselves the space to mend before contemplating what lies ahead. She nodded, an expression of quiet satisfaction crossing her features. Rest assured, if anything were to blossom in that realm, I would be completely at ease with it. Quite beyond okay, in fact. I wrapped my arm around her shoulders, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for her maturity and insight. Each day unfolds its own story. That is all any of us can handle at this moment. As the final rays of sunlight slipped away, a profound sense of tranquility washed over me, a feeling that had been absent since that anniversary dinner. The revelation was excruciating, yet it brought a sense of clarity. In that moment of clarity, a path forward revealed itself to me. Half a year after the family brunch that altered the course of our lives, Laura Bennett, Nora, and I gathered for dinner at my home, toasting to Nora's triumphant finish of her fall semester. The dwelling had undergone a metamorphosis, marked by delicate nuances. Furniture shifted, fresh artwork adorned the walls, and with each subtle alteration, Vanessa Cole's essence slowly faded away. I raised my glass in a toast to outstanding grades and fresh starts. "And to family, the ones who remain," Nora remarked, her words imbued with a wisdom that belied her years. Laura Bennett beamed, lifting her glass in a toast, "To the truth, no matter how challenging it may be." A month prior, the divorce had reached its conclusion, with terms decidedly leaning in my favor, bolstered by the evidence of Vanessa Cole's misdeeds. In the end, she found herself in Arizona alongside Laura Bennett and Scott, both yearning to break free from the confines of the community that had borne witness to their unveiling. Nora kept her interactions with her mother to a bare minimum. Intermittent phone calls and text messages, barriers established with unwavering resolve. The mandate for supervised visitation had been removed, yet Nora opted to maintain interactions within a confined and regulated framework. "I have news," Laura Bennett announced as we concluded our meal. "The business partnership has been officially dissolved." Yesterday, the lawyers brought everything to a close. Following the revelation of Laura Bennett Scott's financial misconduct, Laura Bennett and I collaborated to salvage the remnants of the investment firm. As Laura Bennett and Scott confronted the repercussions of his choices, we steadily restored client confidence and reimagined the company's framework. That moment demanded a sweet conclusion, I resolved, as I unveiled the cheesecake I had crafted earlier, to fresh entrepreneurial endeavors. In light of that, Laura Bennett continued, I've been reflecting on our conversation about the venture into sustainable investments. I have some research that I would like to present to you. With a flourish, she laid out the documents on the pristine table, her excitement palpable as she articulated her vision. The collaboration over these past months has unveiled Laura Bennett's surprising business savvy, skills that had remained in the shadows during her marriage to Laura Bennett and Scott. This seemed promising, I conceded, as I examined her forecasts. It resonates seamlessly with the aspirations of younger investors. Nora, her eyes sparkling with mirth, rose to her feet in an instant. A fleeting thought crossed my mind. I had committed to a video chat with my roommate to discuss our housing plans for the upcoming semester. Do not stay awake for me. Once she departed, a gentle laugh escaped Laura Bennett's lips. She possesses a certain nuance, doesn't she? As understated as a blazing neon sign, I conceded. For months, she has taken on the role of a matchmaker. A serene hush enveloped us, brimming with unvoiced potential. Matthew Cole, Laura Bennett finally spoke. We've endured so much together this year, we possess. I hold our friendship and our business partnership in high regard. Yet, I encourage softly, perceiving her reluctance. Yet, I find myself pondering whether there could be something beyond this. She locked her gaze with mine, the honesty I had grown to appreciate evident in her eyes. I completely understand if the timing isn't right or if your interest doesn't align with. I extended my hand across the table, gently clasping hers in a tender embrace. I find myself pondering the very same question. Her smile radiated a sense of relief intertwined with a deeper warmth. Is that so? Indeed. Indeed, you are correct. We have both endured profound experiences of trauma. We ought to exercise caution, embrace a measured pace. Without a doubt, she concurred. Neither of us should hastily embark on a new journey without first reflecting on what has come before. I tenderly clasped her hand. With that in mind, I find that my feelings for you, Laura Bennett, have grown profoundly. And not merely in the capacity of a friend or business associate. My sentiments align with yours. Our fingers wove together in a delicate embrace. Thus, it shall be deliberate and contemplative. As we lingered in each other's company, the business plans momentarily set aside, I experienced an emotion I hadn't anticipated revisiting. The thrill lies not solely in the allure of romance, but in the promise of crafting something real, rooted in mutual respect and true understanding. After Laura Bennett departed, her intentions to return for dinner the next weekend lingering in the air, I found myself on the back porch, a place where Nora and I had shared our thoughts months ago. The night unfolded with clarity, stars twinkling defiantly against the backdrop of city lights, the air imbued with the refreshing chill of early winter. After 23 years of shared vows, the bond had unraveled in a web of deceit, yet that conclusion unveiled insights I may have never unearthed otherwise. Reflecting on my journey, I delve into the essence of resilience and the profound opportunity to start anew, embracing the world with clarity and an open heart. The future lay blank, a canvas yet to be filled. Yet, for the first time in what felt like an eternity, I found myself eager to turn the page. Truth, akin to glass, seems delicate until it faces scrutiny. As I replaced those anniversary champagne glasses, I remained blissfully unaware that I was trading a soothing illusion for a harsh truth. The toast intended to celebrate 23 years became, instead, a herald of newfound clarity. It is often said that adversity builds strength, yet I have discovered that what does not bring about your demise merely uncovers your authentic self. In the shadow of betrayal, one can either succumb to the weight of bitterness or choose to ascend with grace and dignity. It is not the events that befall us that define our path, but rather the manner in which we react when faced with the unimaginable. Safeguarding your well-being is not an act of selfishness. It is an essential measure. Establishing boundaries is not an act of cruelty. Rather, it is a vital aspect of well-being. Requiring respect is not an act of demand, rather, it is a fundamental necessity. In the wake of treachery, a surprising chance emerges. Just as clearing away the tangled undergrowth unveils the true contours of the land, stripping away the layers of deception in your life reveals the essence of what truly exists. What endures is what truly holds significance. It was my daughter's steadfast support, the unforeseen friendships that blossomed in times of crisis, and the revelation of my own resilience that shaped my journey. I've come to understand that the lessons we impart to the next generation are not delivered through lectures, but rather through the way we live our lives. Nora observed as I embraced truth instead of cozy deceptions, opted for dignity rather than revenge, and prioritized progress over dwelling on the past. The lessons, though steeped in pain, might ultimately hold greater worth than countless years of earnest counsel. Among the revelations that unfolded, gratitude emerged as the most unexpected find, not for the treachery, but for the insight that emerged thereafter. There exists a peculiar freedom in the removal of illusions, in the clarity that emerges when what was once hidden by hope or routine is finally revealed. In the midst of the trials you encounter within your relationships, hold on to the truth that dignity requires not perfection, but rather a genuine sense of self. While truth might not always offer solace, it invariably opens the door to new possibilities. Within that potential resides the assurance of creating something authentic, something deserving of the insights we've gained through our experiences.